So you were a smaller kid coming out, right? Seventh, eighth grade. So going into ninth grade, what was your workout regimen like? Were you just like going out straight talent, or were you like, all right, man, I'm gonna get out here and lift these bricks up? Like, what was it?
Um, my stepdad would have me in the weight room with him a little bit, but there was this myth that's always been spread around that I realized wasn't true. Honestly, just a couple years ago, that they say if you start lifting weights too early, it'll stunt your growth. It's not true. Um, and so I as a ninth grader, I stayed away from weights. Like I did a little bit. Like my stepdad had me do very minimum. It might be twice a week, if that. But he was always like, "Nah, we can't do too much. It'll stunt your growth." Not knowing I'm just naturally supposed to be short. I'm natural. You know what I'm saying? Like that is so not true. Now, nobody, you shouldn't be at 13, 14, you shouldn't be maxing out and doing and stuff like that. That could have an effect on your body, but lifting weights doesn't stunt your growth. Um, but yeah, so I didn't, as a ninth grader, I didn't have any, I was still going off natural talent. I was actually just straight going off speed. If I'm being completely honest, like I was just still trying to outrun everybody. Um, and it wasn't until I would say my 10th grade year is kind of turned when I turned the corner, and that was when I started working out because I got on varsity. I got on varsity after my ninth grade JV season was over. I moved up during the playoffs, um, and I actually played in one of the games, and I only had like 2 carries or whatever, nothing crazy, but I kind of got a little glimpse of what had the speed difference between being on JV and varsity and stuff. But my 10th grade year was when I became the starter. The senior at the time, who was phenomenal, ended up leaving, and I filled in his spot, and that's kind of when things started to really, I would say, take off for me, where the training started, and it was not so much of stuff we did at home. It was more our head coach just running his strength and conditioning program in the spring, in the summer, where we did. It was every day, pretty much every day, Monday through Friday. But at the same time, I was still running track. When weren't doing football, I was running track. I had stopped playing basketball and baseball by that time. Um, so I always stayed active because at my school, it was like as soon as football season over, you're jumping right into track. So um, yeah, once I started working out and stuff, I didn't feel so much a weight gain, but I started feeling myself getting a lot faster, getting a lot more explosive, and I had a pretty good sophomore year, and junior year came around, and that's when like everything really started to take off because I had that full year being a sophomore, but being a starter. Um, as a sophomore, we made it to the playoffs. We ended up losing the Bulls in the semifinals. Um, I think yeah, semifinals, and Bulls ended up winning the state championship uh, that year. And then from there, our team, all of us, we were just super motivated. Where we were like, man, we can't let that happen again. And just kind of went from there. Junior year um, was when recruiting and everything kind of started like taking off for me. You
So when you say recruiting started taking off, was it like, okay, you started getting letters in the mail, or was it like, all right, we're coming out to this school to see Chris?
It started off with letters, and the letters were coming from everywhere, from all the schools and stuff. And a lot of times, a lot of the letters were invites to camps, like football camps and stuff. So it was like Nebraska, Clemson, schools like that. Like, oh, we're inviting you to our football camp or whatever. We would love for you to come out, and stuff like that. So it was like letters that didn't mean a whole. It meant something, but it didn't mean a whole lot. Didn't mean you had offers. Didn't mean you weren't getting. I wasn't getting phone calls or anything like that. At that time, at the beginning of my junior year. But as the season went on, it started to take off like crazy. It was my performance had just started going like through the roof. So we had college scouts and everything coming through, talking to us, meeting with us, watching practices and things. And we had a defensive tackle at the time. We were in the same class. He was a junior as well, but he was lights out, and he was a five-star guy. So a lot of times, like, schools were coming to see him, and but for me, it was like, this is gonna be my moment to show them, like, I can play ball too. Like, I can play for y'all too. And a lot of those moments did happen, were happening in practices, because that was usually around the time that scouts would come during practices and stuff like that. And I knew I was still on the smaller side, so I'm just kind of, at the same time holding out hope that while everybody's checking him, they still seeing me. And I know there were a couple eyes on me as well, but being a five-star guy, like, everybody, on him or whatever. And one thing I would say about him, his name Jacoby McDaniel. One thing I say about him, he was always about everybody else getting theirs too. So it was never about, oh, they're coming to see me. We all knew that, but he never said it. You know what I mean? But it was like, even if people like may have said something to him, oh, this person coming to you, these people coming to you, he was very unselfish in a way where he was like, nah, this y'all time too. Like, this is our time, this is our moment. And yeah, as time went on, as the season went on, I ended up having that was the best season of my high school career. And we ended up winning the state championship that year. And after winning state, it was just boom, boom, boom. I became a 4-star, what was it, all-purpose back at that time. Is kind of where they had me. And from there, then the phone calls, the letters that were actual, like, we're offering you type deal. And it was, oh, they're pulling me out of school. This coach is here to see you. This coach just want to speak to you for a minute. This guy just want to see you. Or one time we had to travel to Dallas for this like All-American combine. It was for juniors or whatever. So all of that stuff started to happen. And I mean, that experience was just like no other. Getting, you know what I'm saying? Like, getting phone calls, meeting these coaches and stuff that you see on TV. And for me, like, a lot of stuff that I saw on TV was never real. Don't make sense. It probably don't make sense, but to me, like, it was always like a dream to like be on TV, but to me in my head, like it was everything on TV wasn't real. And because I never knew anybody that was famous, I never knew anybody that was on TV. But yeah, that was when things started changing and like football started to get a lot more fun because the experiences of even, you know, opportunities of going to visit at colleges and stuff like that started to happen. And yeah, that was fun times.
So Nick Saban coming two-step in your living room with your grandma?
Oh man, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I won't say I wasn't completely on his radar, but I never got a call from him. But I did get like Coach Bowden and his whole crew at the time they came to my house. You know, they were in the living room. You know, us talking it up and everything, which was crazy. That was like, I think the only like in-home visit that I had, and it was only a 40-minute drive or whatever for him, but I did have that, and that was one thing that kind of started like pushing me towards Florida State and looking into Florida State, because I wasn't really a big Florida State fan. My best friend was. And I was always in my head, like, I kind of, Florida, Miami, that was kind of where my head was early on. And they were consistently at me. And I was like, let me look into this school and see what's up. And, you know, I had known, obviously everybody knew about Warwick Dunn and, you know, all those guys, Lorenzo Booker, Leon Washington, all those running backs that's come out of Florida State. But I had never really thought of it as being a legit fit for me. But because they were always contacting me, always reaching out, always checking up, I mean, even coming to high school and stuff like that, to practices, to games and stuff, I knew that they really